3D Mario has never bloody missed. From the Galaxy games to Odyssey to the 3D worlds and lands, they're all absolute bangers. Even the controversial ones like Super Mario Sunshine, I still reckon is a fantastic 3D platformer. But what blows my mind the most is that Nintendo pretty much nailed it on their first go. Like, who the f does that? A bunch of franchises struggle out of the gate, especially in the early days of 3D platformers, but yet, Mario showed up in 3D and just went, yeah, nah, I'm already the king of 3D platforming. Something I'll probably never fully understand myself is just how mind-blowing this must have been to see for the first time. Going from the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64? Mate, that would have been a massive leap. Probably felt bloody surreal. I mean, kids today complain if the water in Mario doesn't look exactly like real life, but back then, you jumped into a 3D world and it was basically magic. And the thing is, I say I'll never truly get it because we live in an age now where console generations, yeah, the tech gets more powerful and games do look objectively better, but it's just shinier versions of what we've already had. Back in the 90s and early 2000s though, whole new worlds were just being invented right in front of you. No patch notes, no updates, no DLC, just pure game magic, mate. And Mario was definitely the front runner for that new generation, and honestly, it's so easy to see why. Even today, as someone in my 20s, I can still pick it up, jump in, and just play. It's simple, it's fun, and it sticks with you. Not many games have that kind of staying power. The ones that make you want to come back again and again. But Super Mario 64? Mate, it's got that magic, I swear. It's like it's secretly whispering to you, come on, one more star, just one more star. And before you know it, oh f***, there's 100 stars again. But what exactly makes this game so special? And why does it hold up after all these years later? Well, that's what I'll be diving into today. So kick back, relax, maybe grab a beer or a Macca's run if you're feeling fancy, and let's bloody begin. Super Mario 64 was the only launch title for the Nintendo 64. Okay, I'm full of shit. Pilotwings 64 was also there. But let's be real, as good as Pilotwings is, when Mario's flexing in full 3D for the first time, you're not picking bloody Pilotwings. Imagine unwrapping your brand new console and going, yeah, nah, f*** Mario, I'm here for flight school, bitch. Yeah, right. Anyway, this is one of the first instances of Mario having full voice acting.
Welcome to Mario Teaches Typing!
Okay, fine, the first memorable time Mario had voice acting, and honestly, Charles Martinet absolutely nailed it. The bloke's a legend, cheerful, over the top, and somehow made
It's me, Mario!
one of the most iconic f***ing catchphrases in gaming. I'm just glad Nintendo didn't cheap out and give us some knockoff discount uncle voice instead. So yeah, the story here is usual Mario business. As a Nick's Peach, Mario's gotta save her. This time, by diving into paintings, collecting stolen power stars, that's about it. And honestly, I don't mind that Mario's never given a f*** about story. It's always a gameplay first series, and for what it sets out to do, it does it well. Plus, knowing the voice acting tech of the mid-90s, it's probably for the best we didn't get some dramatic cutscene of Mario crying out Peach's name in a dodgy accent. We weren't ready for that nightmare. The gameplay is where this game truly shines, like most people say, and I fully agree. Mario is an absolute joy to control. His movement is fluid, smooth, and just flat out fun. Honestly, I reckon they nailed it first bloody go, and that's not even mentioning all the new tricks Mario gets in 3D. The long jump, mate, that thing is a lifesaver. It's fast, it's satisfying, and it's basically Mario saying, yeah, nah, f*** stairs, I'm going the quick way. It's such a simple move, but it changes how you explore everything. The triple jump is another classic. It lets you reach spots a normal jump could never even dream of, and the extra height just feels so damn satisfying to pull off. The side flip is another absolute banger of a move. It becomes second nature pretty quickly, and honestly, I dare even say it's more useful than the triple jump. It's like Mario's sneaky little shortcut. Quick, precise, and makes you feel like a total legend every time you pull it off. And then there's the punch, and yeah, it's fine. Decent enough move, but honestly, I barely ever use it. Stomping enemies is just quicker, cleaner, and way more fun. The punch kind of feels like Mario's awkward party trick, like, yeah, cheers mate, but I'll stick with the jump. Same deal as Donkey Kong Country's hand slap. It's a nice idea, but I pretty much forget it exists half the time. To be honest, that's pretty much how I feel about all the combat moves. They're all fine, they all work well enough, but at the end of the day, jumping's just easier. Like, why bother throwing hands when you can just stomp a bloke's skull in? Like, Mario knew ground pounds before MMA made it cool. Speaking of ground pounds, now that's a fun move. Mario does a cheeky flip in the air and then full on arse stomps the shit shit out of the ground. It's brutal, it's satisfying, and it's the one move that makes you feel like Mario could win a cage match if he really wanted to. So in essence, Mario's gameplay in this game is absolutely incredible, especially considering it's his first time in fully 3D. Good on Nintendo for absolutely smashing it out of the park. Honestly, if more games started out like this, I'd probably never leave the f***ing couch. The 3D camera made its debut here, and you know what? It's not that bad. For a first attempt at a 3D camera, I'm honestly impressed it works as well as it does. Sure, it trips up in a few spots and it's far from perfect. We've done way better over the years, especially in later Mario games, but for a first go, bloody hell Nintendo did pretty well. But even amazing gameplay can only go so far without equally brilliant levels, and luckily, Mario 64 has some truly memorable ones, so let's go over them. Don't worry, we'll try to keep it brief because if I tried to nitpick every little detail of every stage, I'd truly never leave the bloody couch. Plus, some of these stages are just so bonkers, you'd think a plumber in red overalls was just being paid to wrestle physics itself. So, let's start with the most iconic of the bunch, Peach's Castle. Okay, fine, technically not a level, but you can't talk about Mario 64 without mentioning the hub world. And honestly, this might be one of the best hub worlds I have ever played in any bloody game. It's got charm, it's got secrets, it makes you feel like a tiny little legend wandering around a castle that's way too big for a plumber. Plus the way it connects all stages, beautiful. Pure genius, and I'm not even exaggerating. It's got a basement, a ground floor, a courtyard, a front yard, an upper level, a top floor. It's filled to the brim with stages, clever design, and a whopping 3 toads. 3. That's it. For a castle this size, you think there'd be hundreds of NPCs wandering around, or at least someone to grab me a goddamn beer, but no. Just 3 little buggers quietly judging you while you stomp through Bowser's mess. Onto the real level, Bob-omb Battlefield, and wow, what a bloody way to kick things off. I genuinely can't believe a level this well made is the very first one in the game. And keep in mind, this game basically invented a whole new genre of 3D platformers. Like, who the f*** designs a tutorial level this good? Only Nintendo, mate. Pure genius right from the start. Anyway, this stage is a full-on open world playground, and honestly, I reckon it's the best open world style stage in the entire game. There's so much to explore, every corner packed with detail. You've got a chomp to release, a floating island, a race with a giant Koopa, and yes, a boss fight. That's right, a bloody boss fight, as if this stage wasn't already perfect. Nintendo just goes, here, have a bit more chaos, mate. It's basically the gaming equivalent of being handed a bucket of beer and being told, go nuts, mate. Absolute legendary stuff. King Bob-omb's fight is pretty easy all things considered, but for the first star in the game, that's expected. You run behind him and you pick him up after he yells at you like a total dumbass. It's a fun little fight, except once you kill him, he f***ing dies. Yeah, you heard me. By the second star, there's a third cannonball chilling up on the hill with the other 2. That's his bloody body. Maybe if he wasn't such a dick, he wouldn't have been such a small obstacle on my climb up to the top of the mountain. Absolute dumbass. I do love him though, please put him in Mario Kart World. And you can't forget the famous cannon. It's sprinkled throughout a bunch of stages, but this is the one everyone bloody remembers. Flinging Mario out of a cannon in full 3D? Absolute gold. I'm so glad they added it, because nothing screams family-friendly Nintendo like shooting an Italian plumber out of heavy artillery. Anyway, Bob-omb Battlefield is an easy contender for the best stage in the game, and honestly, one of the best Mario levels ever made. It's bursting with charm, life, and somehow even manages to outshine later levels in later games. It's a certified classic. The kind of stage that you want to maybe grab a controller and never put it down. Next up is Whomp's Fortress. This level is way more linear than Bob-omb Battlefield, but don't let that fool you, it's still an absolute blast. There's so much crammed into this tiny stage, it's insane. And yep, another boss, King Whomp. He goes on this dramatic speech about being mad that he builds houses and everyone just walks all over him without saying thanks. Well, f*** you, mate. You're not doing the hard work. It's the bloody tradies out there sweating their asses off putting the pavement down. I'm not gonna walk past tradies and thank the f***ing concrete. I'd much rather thank them than your stony, grumpy ass. Then you ground pound him 3 times and he's dead. Easy as that. It's pretty simple, but here's the kicker. After you off him, a tower spawns that you have to climb for the next star. Honestly, that climb is way more fun than the actual boss fight. It's like Nintendo's way of saying, here, forget the old bloke, just enjoy running up a giant tower instead. Bloody genius. Overall, Whomp's Fortress, while I don't think it quite beats Bob-omb Battlefield, it's still a bloody brilliant level. It's jam-packed with things to do, corners to explore, with a stack of fun stars to collect. Plus, the level design does a cracking job of getting you used to Mario's new moves. It's the kind of stage that sneaks up on you and makes you go, yeah, I could spend bloody hours here and never get bored. Next is Jolly Roger Bay, and honestly, this stage shows off one of Mario 64's biggest weak spots, the bloody swimming. Don't get me wrong, it works fine, it's perfectly usable, but man, it's nowhere near as fun as just running and jumping around. Like, every time I load into a swimming stage, I just sigh because I know I'm about to trade Mario's god tier movement for the aquatic equivalent of steering a bloody shopping trolley with 3 busted wheels. It's not broken, it's just never exciting. And that's the complete opposite of how I want to feel when I'm on land, where Mario's basically moving like a tradie who's just been told Smoko started early. The stage itself? It's fine. Nowhere near the quality of the ones before it, but it's not complete dog shit either. I'll give it this though. It's got some unique open areas to poke around in, and most of the stars at least feel different from one another. So even though it's a water level, and water levels are usually the gaming equivalent of waiting in line at Centrelink, this one still manages to feel fresh enough. From exploring a sunken ship to trying to lure that nightmare fuel eel out of its cave to stumbling into a hidden underground cavern, this stage actually packs in a ton of unique elements. It's like Nintendo went, yeah, you're not gonna like the swimming, but at least here's some cool shit here to distract you. The music though, holy shit. This track goes way harder than it has any right to. It is one of the most beautiful pieces of video game music ever made. Sometimes it straight up carries the stage. Like, yeah, the swimming isn't perfect, but at least I'm listening to pure audio sex while I'm doing it. Honestly, Koji Kondo could compose background noise for a Bunnings sausage sizzle, and it'd still slap. Overall, Jolly Roger Bay is a fine enough stage. It's got solid ideas, a nice open layout, and that beautiful as hell music keeping it all together. The swimming still isn't my favourite. Feels a bit like wading through a bunch of paddling pools and thongs, but it's not a deal breaker. Just a bit of a slowdown compared to the fireball of fun that the other stages are. Next up, Cool Cool Mountain, and wow, what a stage. The first batch of stages really set the bar, and this one is no exception. You've got a massive mountain to explore, teleporters to zip you back up when you inevitably fall on your ass, and a ridiculously fun slide to wrap it all up. Honestly, it's the kind of stage that makes you grin like a lunatic just wandering around. The slide is definitely the highlight here. It's fast, twisty, and has a sneaky shortcut that makes you feel like a total legend when you go through it. You play it twice, once by yourself, and again racing a fat-ass penguin. Honestly, the penguin star is way better. I love that it actually punishes you for taking the shortcut, forcing you to tackle the proper, trickier route. It's clever, it's fun, and it's basically the stage telling you, yeah mate, you thought you were good, think again. That doesn't make the other stars any less fun though. You've got everything from lugging a lost baby penguin back to its mum, while resisting the urge to hurl the little bugger off the cliff, to chasing down a runaway snowball that smacks itself right on the head. There's basically a star tucked away at every edge of the map. It's basically what Christmas Day in Australia would look like if it snowed. Total family chaos, kids going missing, someone copping a snowball to their head, and you running around mad just to hold it all together. Overall, Cool Cool Mountain is a blast. Heaps to explore, a slide that keeps you grinning like an idiot, and a star hunt that's equal parts fun and chaotic. It's a stage that keeps you on your toes and rewards you for mucking around in the snow. To cap off the epic ground floor, we've got the Bowser levels, and honestly, I'm just gonna lump all three together because wow, they all slap. These levels are proper challenges, throwing everything you've learned at you, and it's bloody brilliant. It's like Nintendo said, alright mate, you think you're good at Mario, let's see how you handle this. They're basically 3D versions of classic 2D Mario levels, and I bloody wish there were more of these in the game. The Bowser fights themselves are fine. Honestly, he's less of a terrifying villain and more like a polite neighbour who borrows your tools and leaves them slightly rusty. Still, given the tech Nintendo was working with and the fact that this was their proper 3D game, I'll let it slide. Context matters, and in that context, they're really good. Now let's talk about the extra levels, starting with the Princess's Secret Slide. I've always had a soft spot for good slide levels in this game, and this one doesn't disappoint. Sure, Cool Cool Mountain Slide is still king, but this one's no slouch. It's a proper rush that'll have you grinning like a kid at the footy, unless you wipe out on a corner and feel like a total idiot sliding into the wall. Next up is the Secret Aquarium, and yeah, this one's a bit of a disaster. It's basically just 8 red coins floating in a cube while you swim around, and honestly, there's barely anything to it. It's like Nintendo went, here's your swimming lesson, now f*** off. Now's a good time to talk about power-ups, and luckily this game's got 3, all pretty solid. First up, and probably the most iconic one, is Wing Mario. Flying around in full 3D is an absolute blast. Sure, it's not perfect, and later games polish it even more, but for a first attempt, bloody fantastic. Good job Nintendo, you really nailed it. Next is Vanish Mario. This little beauty lets you phase through walls to sniff out hidden secrets and stars. Out of the 3 power-ups, it's probably the least useful, but it's still a laugh to mess around with. like being given a magic key to sneak into your mate's party without an invite. Last up is Metal Mario, another proper iconic power-up, and it's basically this game's invincibility suit. Plus, it lets you stomp around on the seafloor like a bloody tank. Pretty solid, though I do wish it lasted a bit longer. Nothing worse than turning into a metal god and having it cut out halfway through the fun. Other than that, it's a top-notch addition. To go along with these 3 power-ups, each one gets their own unique challenge stage, and they're all pretty solid. The Tower of the Wingcap stage is probably the least fun of the bunch. You're just flying through a bunch of coin rings to grab 8 red coins and snatch the star. It wouldn't be the first time an N64 game made you fly through rings. Next up is the Vanish Cap stage, and honestly, it is my favourite of the 3. It's a proper jumping challenge with rotating platforms, wobbly leaning platforms, and one massive slope at the end. The funny thing is, this stage barely tests your Vanish powers. By the time you hit that big slope, it's basically over. But does that make it any less fun? Nah, not a chance. It's still a cracking little challenge. Lastly, we've got the Metal Cavern, tucked in the middle of Hazy Maze Cave. It's a small stage where you have to use the metal cap to stomp across a stream of rushing water and grab 8 red coins. It's quick, but it's still a fun little challenge. Like a short sprint through a creek that somehow manages to make you feel like a total legend. The last extra stage is Wing Mario Over the Rainbow, and honestly, I've got pretty mixed feelings on this one. Sure, it's better than Tower of the Wingcap, but I've always felt like it's a bloody chore to slog through. I never really want to play it. It's like homework with wings. And the worst part, if you die, you don't just lose a life. Nah. The game punts you all the way back outside the castle, meaning you gotta hoof all the way back up to the top floor just to try it again. Absolute nightmare. I would rather cough up a life than take a hike every single time. Overall, the extra stages are mostly pretty damn solid. Yeah, there are a couple stinkers that make you roll your eyes, but the good ones, they're really f***ing good. The kind of levels that remind you why Super Mario 64 is such a classic in the first place. Next up, we head on down to the basement and courtyard with Big Boo's Haunt, a big spooky mansion that's honestly a blast to explore. The aesthetic is on point. Creepy piano, eerie halls, and that classic haunted house vibe. But then you get to the boss fights and, oh boy, Big Boo is fun enough the first time, but when half the bloody stars are just fight Big Boo again but slightly different, yeah, it gets repetitive real quick. By round 2, you're like, mate, I already kicked your transparent ass once, stop wasting my time. The other stars here are honestly pretty solid enough. Secret of the Haunted Books, Eye to Eye in the Secret Room, it's all good stuff. Even the Big Boo stars aren't that bad, I'll give them that. Exploring the mansion and hunting them down is still fun, but man, I just wish they were a bit more creative than, oi, fight Big Boo again, and again, and again. At that point, it feels less like a ghost hunt and more like dealing with an annoying landlord who won't leave you alone. Overall, Big Boo's Haunt is still a solid stage. The atmosphere is on point, the mansion's a blast to poke around in, and there's plenty of charm tucked into every corner. Sure, I wish the stars had a bit more variety instead of Big Boo playing Peekaboo 3 times, but it doesn't drag down what's otherwise a great level. Onto the basement level, starting with Hazy Maze Cave. Now this is the first proper level where I am a bit mixed. The concept is solid, exploring a sprawling underground maze is a great idea and definitely gives off some Zelda vibes. But the execution? Yeah, it leaves a fair bit to be desired. At times it feels like crawling through a wobbly backyard cubby house you built as a kid. Fun idea, but a bit cramped and awkward. It's pretty easy to get lost in here, and I reckon they probably could have put a bit more thought into making it easier to navigate. The whole place is textured very similarly, so a lot of corridors end up looking the same, which makes figuring out where to go a real challenge. But once you start getting a feel for where to go, this level becomes a lot more enjoyable. All the stars are in pretty unique spots, riding Dory in the cavern, navigating a toxic maze, and making the most of the metal cap. Honestly, this level probably uses the metal cap better than any other level in the game, and it's a great time. Overall, Hazy Maze Cave is a pretty mixed bag for me. It's got some clever ideas and a bunch of fun stars, but it's so easy to get lost in this place, and it drags the level down a bit for me. Still, once you figure it out, there's still a lot of enjoyment to be had. Next up is Lethal Lava Land, and not gonna lie, I'm also a little mixed on this one. Don't get me wrong, it's fun hopping around a lava world trying to not barbecue Mario, but I've always felt like it's just a bunch of platforms tossed around a big molten floor. Compared to most other courses, it doesn't feel like a fully realized world, more like a test map that Nintendo dressed up into a level. But what about the stars? For the most part, they're all really fun and creative. My only complaint, similar to Big Boo's Haunt, are the big stars. I still enjoy them, but having 2 stars that are basically the same fight feels a bit redundant. I just wish the second one had a bit more uniqueness to set it apart from just beating 3 common enemies to access him. Inside the volcano is absolutely fantastic and easily the highlight of the level. The design is great and climbing around it is just pure fun. Honestly, I wish there were more stars inside, or at least that the second bully star was placed here. Having to climb up the volcano to reach that fight would have made it so much more satisfying than just finding it right next to the first one. Overall, Lethal Lava Land is still a fun time. The volcano remains the absolute highlight, and while I do wish the main overworld felt a bit more fully realised as a proper stage, it's still fun tracking down all the stars scattered across this fiery landscape. Next up is Shifting Sandland, and yeah, while I like it, I'm also a bit mixed on it. To be fair, it might be a bit of a subjective stance since I've never really liked desert levels in most games, but even setting that aside, the outside area of this world feels pretty mixed to me. There aren't many places where you can actually move around freely. There's a ton of spots where you can die really easily from one small mistake. Sure, that could be chalked up to a skill issue, fair enough, but compared to the other levels, this one feels like it punishes you way more than it often should. The stars outside are still a good bit of fun though. Smacking the bird with the wing cap feels like trying to nail a magpie mid-swoop. Tricky, but satisfying when you pull it off. And cracking open the pyramid by standing on all 4 pillars before nabbing the star on top. Hey, that's the gaming equivalent of finding a Macca's chip at the bottom of the bag. That just hits different. Now speaking of the pyramid, mate, this is where the level really shines. It's a ripper of a stage. Honestly, so good. Climbing to the very top is a proper challenge, and the pyramid puzzle star, that's the sort of star that makes you want to shout beauty when you finally grab it. But the crown jewel has to be the IROC fight. The build up to it is a blast, and once you're in that tight tomb-like chamber, it feels completely different from every other boss in the game. 2 big angry hands trying to squash ya, it's weird, it's memorable, and it's good bloody fun. Other than that, I reckon this is a fine level overall. The outside area isn't the most enjoyable for me, a few fun stars sure, but a bit of a slog at times. The pyramid though, that's where the magic happens. Climbing, puzzling, and the IROC fight make it a proper highlight of the level. Next up is Dire Dire Docks, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest mate, I reckon this is one of the few bad levels in the game. Pretty much the entire stage is underwater, and like I said before, Mario 64's swimming isn't exactly a joyride. When 95% of the level is basically wading through water, it turns out what should be fun into a bit of a chore. Pretty much all the stars take place in a dull underwater cavern, and the ones that don't are painfully tedious. Boarding Bowser's sub, literally just swimming in a straight line and jumping onto the sub. The pole jumping red coin challenge, just a giant waiting game for the poles to roll over. Not hard, just painfully slow and boring as bat shit. The Collect the Cat mission is a solid idea and concept, mixing the power-ups is a fun twist, and I wish more Mario games would try this, but they didn't quite think it through. It's actually easier to just grab the Vanish Cap than to snag both, which is a real shame. It could have been a brilliant mission, but instead it falls a bit flat thanks to that oversight. Overall, it's a bit of a shame that this stage falls flat because with a few tweaks, it could have been a lot better. Take Jolly Roger Bay for example. It's not perfect either, but it does a better job with the balance between water and land, and the aesthetic actually makes you want to explore. Dire Dire Docks, not so much. Next up are the Mez levels, starting with Snowman's Land. Yeah, I like this one. It's kinda similar to Cool Cool Mountain. Is it as good? Nah, not quite. But does it make it a bad stage? Absolutely not. It's still a bloody fun time. Sliding around, exploring, and enjoying all the little snowy antics, climbing the giant snowman, tussling with the chilly bully, exploring the igloo, it's all good bloody fun. Nothing really wrong with this stage, but let's be honest, it gets a bit overshadowed by Cool Cool Mountain. That stage was bigger, wilder, and more of a full-on adventure, like going to a footy grand final versus a casual kickabout at the park. Snowman's Land, as solid as it is, it probably needed a few more quirky touches to make it feel really memorable. Overall, Snowman's Land is still a solid stage, but it could have done with a bit more character, something to make it stand out instead of feeling like Cool Cool Mountain's little snowy cousin. Next up is Wet Dry World, and not gonna lie, this might have one of the most unique gimmicks in the whole game. Being able to control where the water goes? Genius. It's actually a lot of fun in game too. Sure, this stage splits opinions online, I get it. Constantly wading through water can be a bit of a pain, but honestly, I reckon it doesn't take away from the stage one bit. It's still a ripper. Every star in the main area is a blast to collect, but by far the best part of the level has to be the little town. Pretty sure they nicked some Zelda 64 beta assets for it. Classy bit of recycling, right? Wall jumping around the place and using the Vanish Cap to grab that star behind the cage? Chef's kiss, mate. Proper good shit. Honestly, it's like Mario decided to go on a casual stroll through Hyrule, got lost and thought, yeah, I'll just nick a star while I'm here, and trying to reach that cage star feels like wrestling a kangaroo through a fence. Awkward but satisfying when you make it. Overall, I really like this level. It nails the balance between mucking about in the water and stomping around on land. Every star in this level is an absolute blast to grab, and honestly, it's the kind of stage that makes you forget you're supposed to be saving Peach and not just mucking around like a kid in a paddling pool. Next up is Tall Tall Mountain, and yeah, I like it, but I've got some mixed feelings too. Climbing it once or twice, bloody brilliant, a real thrill. Scaling that massive bugger over and over though, mate, by the third time you're thinking, yeah, nah, I've done enough cardio for one arvo. Fun as it is, it can start to feel like a punishment doing it so many times. I don't think it's really Tall Tall Mountain's fault, it's more of the whole Mario 64 thing of chucking you back to the hub after grabbing a star. Normally that's fine, no dramas, it works, but on this bloomin' mountain, mate, it's like climbing Uluru, reaching the top, and then someone drags you back to the car park every single time. A real buzzkill for a level that's otherwise a cracking climb. Another real highlight of this level is the slide, and mate, I love the slides in this game, and this one is no exception. I reckon this might have been one of the earliest parts of the game worked on. The textures remind me of the Mario 64 beta. It's definitely the trickiest of the 3 slides in the game, and a proper final level challenge. Nail it and it's like racing a ute through a muddy paddock. Messy, wild, and you can't help but laugh the whole way. Overall, I still rate Tall Tall Mountain. The climb's fun, the slides are ripper, and the stage itself is pretty bloody good. The only real buzzkill is getting booted out to the hub every time you grab a star, but that's on Mario 64's design, not the level. Next up is Tiny Huge Island, and this one's another mixed bag for me. The concept is brilliant, basically turning a whole stage into that size switching idea from Mario Bros. 3, and there's plenty of cool stuff here. The tougher Koopa the Quick race, little secrets tucked around the island, and even the Wiggler boss fight. Sure, Wiggler's a pushover, but it's still a fun scrap. The main gimmick, of course, is swapping between Huge Island and Tiny Island. The huge side? No dramas at all, heaps of fun to run around, nothing really to complain about. The tiny side though? That's where things get a bit iffy. It's not terrible, but the island feels almost too small. Like one wrong hop and you're falling off the edge before you've even realized. It's less Tiny Island and more like postage stamp with Gravity Island. Overall, I still rate this as a good stage. It's definitely not terrible, but I reckon Tiny Island could have used just a bit more breathing room. As it stands, you end up falling off way more often than feels fair. An extra few meters of land would have saved a lot of accidental deaths. Next up are the 2 levels that usually caught the most flack, starting with Tick-Tock Clock. For me, this stage really highlights one of Mario 64's biggest flaws, vertical platforming. This game just doesn't handle it as well as it handles open movement and horizontal design. Mario 64 absolutely shines when it's about running, jumping, and exploring in wide spaces. But when you stick him in a tall vertical challenge stage, the cracks start to show. That's why the Bowser stages work so well. They're horizontal gauntlets, almost like an early prototype for the kind of design you'd see in later 3D Land or 3D World. Tick-Tock Clock, on the other hand, doesn't mesh with Mario 64's mechanics in the same way, and it makes climbing its platforms feel more frustrating than fun. It's definitely a unique stage, and I'll give it credit, the level design itself is really solid. In another Mario game, Tick-Tock Clock could have been a real standout, but here in Mario 64, the way the game plays just doesn't quite mesh with what the stage is asking of you, and the clash really drags it down. Last stage is Rainbow Ride, and mate, what a way to kill the buzz. This stage is basically the video game equivalent of lining up for an hour for a ride at Luna Park thinking it's gonna be a thrill, and then the ride itself is slow, rickety, and over in a flash. It's all colourful and flashy, but in practice, you're just stuck on those slow-ass carpets waiting around like you're queuing for fairy floss on a hot day. And when you finally get to the star, it's like blowing 20 bucks on show bags only to realize it's filled with knockoff lollies and a plastic toy that breaks in 5 minutes. And then if you die, which is about as easy as tripping over a left thong on the driveway, you've just gotta sit through those bloody carpets all over again. No shortcuts, no quick retries, just back on the world's slowest magic rug like some stitched up Aladdin reject. Easily my least favourite stage in the game, and it's a real shame too. Super Mario 64 is packed with absolute rippers, but to end on a dud like this? Mate, it's like reaching into the Tim Tam pack and finding out it's hollow. It's a massive letdown. Overall, setting aside that last start of a stage, Super Mario 64 has some of the best stages you'll ever see in a 3D platformer, full stop. Each level is packed with unique gimmicks, clever set pieces, and so much variety that every stage feels fresh and memorable. It is a masterclass in level design. Super Mario 64 is one of the most revolutionary and groundbreaking games ever made. It kickstarted the 3D revolution of the mid-90s and shaped modern 3D gaming. Without it, who the hell knows where games would be today? And the craziest part? The part that's absolutely insane, they got it right on their first fucking go.